I'm going to start by talking not about the techniques of the energization exercises so much, but about the principle of energy and why we practice them. Some of the reasons, there's many reasons, their importance, but when we understand the why, we then have a more subtle, deeper, informed idea of the how to do them. Because the energization exercises, like Kriya, is not mechanical in the results that it gives. Maybe it gives some mechanical results because it does use muscles, but it works more with a few things. One is willpower, the other one is energy and cosmic energy, and then directing that energy. And so all of these work together in an age of energy. And this is why in this age of Dwapara Yuga, these energization exercises are so, so important. This is an age when our teachers, Swami Kriyananda and the great ones, have taught that we've come out of Kali Yuga, an age of fixed form, of matter, materialism, and rigidity in many ways, and we've come into an age of energy. And this is Dwapara Yuga. And so energy is truly essential to understanding how to practice Kriya, how to go through life, but especially how to overcome tests and challenges. One of the things that Swami Kriyananda often talked about is this transition from Kali Yuga to Dwapara Yuga. And we're in that transition right now, even though we're kind of into Dwapara Yuga, a few hundred years of this age of energy. Swamiji said that what's happening right now, all the conflict you see in the world, seems like there's war coming up just about everywhere, pandemic, which is caused by human consciousness. The virus is only just a manifestation of human consciousness. Yoganandaji said the flu epidemic in 1918 that killed millions of people was caused by the violent thoughts and consciousness coming out of World War I. That's all that's happening right now. But what's happening also is that as we're coming into an age of energy, everything is heightened with more energy. There's just more energy in the ether, in the air. There's more energy behind everything. And it's really important to understand that we really need to learn how to work with that energy. In a way, I spent much of my life in California, and I've gone to the ocean. And when I'm in Southern California, I love to watch the surfers riding the waves to the shore. It's just, there's a grace and an art to it. And some of these waves are really big and really powerful. And the ocean is very powerful. When you've been smashed by a wave or caught in the ocean in the currents, as I have, you just realize, wow, there's this energy and power here. But the surfers, what they learn, what they have to do, they have to learn skill, of course. But they also have to have strength and energy. And when a big wave comes in, they have to get in front of the wave a little bit and start swimming on their board really, really fast, up to a certain speed, up to a certain energy. And if they can do that fast enough, then they can catch that wave. And instead of the wave smashing over them, they actually just catch the wave, and then they stand up on their board and they ride that wave all the way into the shore with great joy and power. Those who are riding that wave, it looks graceful and everything, but there's power all around you, and noise and just energy. And that's what's happening in the world today. There's a big wave of energy sweeping over the world, multiple waves of energy, of heightened energy. And if we just kind of, oh my God, here's the wave. I've been in the ocean and just gotten completely obliterated by a wave. I enjoy playing in the waves, and I've gotten smashed and ground into the sand and turned over like in a washing machine sometimes. And I've gotten back up and survived it to go back into other waves. But it's really, really powerful if you don't know what you're doing. It can really smash you. Or if you learn how to ride and work with that energy by putting out a lot of your own energy, but also being receptive and tuning into this heightened energy, then you can make great spiritual progress, is really what we're talking about. Because in this age of energy, there is more energy everywhere. And you see it in people. And those who have lower qualities that were maybe formerly just sort of a low energy, irritability and grumpiness and maybe a little bit of anger, when all of a sudden this intense new heightened energy comes in, that anger becomes intense anger and violence, and just people are at each other's throats in this world, in so many places in this world. And it's because of more energy. It heightens everything, but it also heightens and hastens spiritual progress. And so that's why it's such an amazing opportunity, this age of energy, is because those who understand that this heightened energy in a way is neutral. And so if we work with our spiritual qualities and cooperate with that energy, it heightens also the good qualities. It enhances the good qualities. And this is really necessary for real spiritual progress, because what this divine energy does, when we tune into it in a divine way, this is what the saints have. And it's why they have such power and strength and magnetism. I was really surprised when I first met Swami Kriyananda. This was in 1977, because I was expecting a saint to be sort of my stereotype that I grew up with, was just this, we had a phrase, gentle Jesus, meek and mild, which was just this sort of a simpering kind of a Jesus, and there was a sweetness to it. He would be holding his baby sheep, and it was just also sweet and cuddly and lovable. But that was a human projection of it. Divine love has real power to it. And Swamiji had just energy and power, and I was like, oh my God, who is this person? I just don't understand this, and I didn't. But then over time, as I tuned in, I finally understood that when it's just a human quality of just human love, it's a good quality, but it's on a certain level that just doesn't have the power that divine love has. And when human love, human kindness, generosity on a human level are infused with divine energy and divine power, they become divine love. They become divine compassion, sympathy, divine generosity, and just heroic giving and heroic love for others, the way that the saints and the masters demonstrated. And so this is why, for all of us who are really trying to grow spiritually, understanding energy is so, so important, because it's what takes us, it's what lifts us out of our human, even good qualities, but also our just, our funkiness and our moods and just the downward pulling energy. And so the energization exercises, they're not just exercises, they're a new way of working with energy. And one of the keys that Swamiji wrote about this Dwapara Yuga, he said it's an age of energy, but he also said that it's an age more of fluidity, because if you look at ice that's frozen, this frozen ice was Kali Yuga. There was no energy, it's solid matter. Everyone thought matter was the ultimate reality. But when you start adding heat to that water, what does it do? It melts the ice. It melts the frozen ice and turns it into water, and it's more of a flow of energy. And if you add more water, it boils it and turns it into steam, which in a way is what we're trying to do with our consciousness, which is to, expand from frozen solid matter to water, to expanding, to the infinite, sort of in a very diffused but powerful way of not becoming bound by our littleness. And so energy usually is the missing ingredient. I think maybe Master Swamiji called it the missing link between our bodies and the saints who are, not yet saints, but they're bound by our bodies, and we're trying to transcend matter and body consciousness. Energy is the missing link between this level of being stuck in the physical body and identifying with it, and the energy, the divine energy. It helps the energy to rise up the spine to the spiritual eye and enlighten us and free us and expand our consciousness. And so the energization exercises, they're part and parcel of the path of Kriya Yoga, because they start to get us in tune with one, receiving energy. And Swamiji said this age of Dwapara Yuga is one more of receptive consciousness. He said that many times he said this, but very particularly he said one time that in this era there's much more of a need for the consciousness of the Divine Mother and this more feminine receptive consciousness rather than just trying to conquer everything with this more sort of male-oriented attitude. And he said that calmness, peace, and receptivity help us to receive these divine qualities. And we're not going to conquer those divine qualities and aggressively grab them and win them that way. We receive them in our hearts, in our consciousness. And so that's one of the things that the energization exercises really do well, because we're really trying to receive energy and tune into it and feel it flowing in through our medulla. And because it's not just automatic, again, it's up to us to use our consciousness, our intuition, our feeling perception to receive and feel that energy flowing into us. There was a brother disciple of Swamiji's. They would be energizing, and when he would do the double breathing and palms touching, he would say, "Pump it in, Divine Mother, pump it in." And he would just say it with so much gusto and just awareness. But that's what the energization exercises are. They're communion, inner communion with God as the energy of the universe. And if you like to feel that as Divine Mother, which in a way it is, she is the thousands of suns and moons from shining from her body, as Master said in that chant. You know, she's the power of the universe. She's the Shakti. This is why I like the idea of being in Chandigarh. Chandi is the Shakti aspect of Divine Mother, and you feel that here. It's an activating energy that you feel here. And I think it's helped us with our monastery to really get things moving and going with developing our monastery. And so this activating energy is really important. This is why I love doing energization first thing in the morning, you know, soon after waking up, and just getting things going. Swamiji would practice energization every day. And I just want to end by saying this, that I saw him practicing when I was on his staff for several years, and I also lived in the house there with him for about a year. He would do those exercises every day. He was up there in the morning doing them, and you could see that. Master said he never missed a day. Himself, Master, didn't miss a day of energization. And they're that important to what we are doing. Now, that's one way to look at it, is this more philosophical way. But there's another more childlike way that I also appreciate. There was a guru bhai of mine. She was trying to explain to someone why they had to learn the energization exercises in order to receive Kriya initiation. And you know, she asked me, well, how would you do this? And I went, being the head of the Kriya Sangha and very official about it, I explained that, oh, you know, it's important. I said many of the things I've said now, but then I also said that, and Master said that we have to learn the energization exercises. It's part of the practice and we just have to do it. It's like a discipline. And she just said, oh, now the reason I do them is because Master's my guru and I trust him, so I do them. And that's all she said. I thought, okay, that's actually a much better explanation than I could ever give. And it was this very childlike Chela disciple quality, and there was no intellectual arguing and reasoning, because that's the problem with the intellect, is that we can argue our way in and out and around and up and down around any topic. But when you have this childlike trust of the guru and just say, my guru said I should practice them, of course, then I just do them. And I found something that over the years, my practice has not always been great. Now it's very consistent. But I found that when I practiced them every day, and when I really focused on making that really an important part of my practice, I just had more energy. And I analyzed it, and I don't think it's because I'm great at doing the energization exercises. It's not like I'm, you know, super proficient at them. I'm not that good at them. It's just, I do them out of this sense of just, he's my guru and he said to do them. But I just have more energy. And I think part of it is simply because the guru is pleased that I'm following him. And I may be doing them really not so great at times, not with nearly as much concentration as I should. But he's saying, Om, Om, bless you. Here's some energy to make up for your mental lack, but your sincerity is good. And he does bless us when we make the sincere best effort. And even with the energization exercises, he'll bless us with more energy to be able to ride the challenges of life and not be smashed by them, and to ride that wave and actually, far from being smashed by these waves of karma that are sweeping the world, we can actually make great spiritual progress during these times. And I've seen many people doing it. During the worst of the pandemic last year, we saw a lot of people suffering and dying, but I saw some people who I know really well who were just becoming saints of selflessness, giving, of heroic love and compassion and just helping others. And they had this understanding inwardly, intuitively, of putting out the energy and just going with that heightened energy that was coming into this earth and using it to give more, to serve more, to love more, and to make great spiritual progress because of it. So Vineet now will share a few things about energy and energization.
Thank you, Devashriji. I really enjoyed the part where you shared about Swamiji's brother disciple saying, competent divine mother, competent while practicing the exercises. And I just wanted to start with my experience of the energization exercises in the beginning when I was, being taught them. Most of us learn this in our very first experience with Ananda when we are, taught the Hong Saw technique, and then we are taught the energization exercises, and we are told, this is the first step on the path of Kriya Yoga. So I said, yes, Kriya Yoga, I need it, I'm doing it. Teach me the meditation techniques. Kriya Yoga is the airplane road to God, and I need to meditate. And I was sitting in the first half of the class, we were taught the Hong Saw technique, and then there was a break. And then after the break, they said, okay, let's get up from the chair and we'll practice the energization exercises. And I was very young, very naive, and I was just sharing this with a friend of mine just day before yesterday. I was glued to my chair. I was like, I came here to learn meditation. I don't want anything physical. I'm not getting up from my chair. Why do I need to do the exercises? I had every possible kind of resistance one would have, because I thought the path is about meditation. What is doing with, moving the body physically? Well, what am I going to learn? And it was my first experience, so you can forgive me for that now. But I practiced those exercises and I was like, so I'm more aware, I'm more energetic, I'm more active. But then, like Devashiji was saying, we can always reason our way out versus, that childlike approach that, my guru told me this. So, and I was preparing to be a chartered accountant, and one of the basic principles an accountant has, an auditor has, is professional skepticism, we call it. Doubt everything until you have proof. Just question everything. So I said, and I practiced them like very religiously for a week. And I was feeling so good. I was like, I'm floating in air, I'm feeling energetic, I have the energy to do everything. Life is beautiful, life is gay, as Swamiji's song goes. And I said, no, I'm going to test this. And whether consciously or unconsciously, for a week, I dropped everything. I dropped the practice of meditation, I dropped the practice of energization. And those were some of the grumpiest days of my life, I can say, because it was just like, why is everyone so wrong? I had every kind of mood, every kind of thing to say that, life was not right. And then when I picked up the energization exercises again, everything was fine. I felt more energetic, more alive, more aware. And I felt, yes, this makes sense. And, all that skepticism, I had to keep it aside and then practice them. And on one level, I should say that has been a battle, a journey every time. Not that I'm that skeptical, but every time when I feel low energy, every time when I feel moody, or every time when I feel like, oh, maybe I don't want to practice these exercises, it is just a matter of bringing myself again to practice those first two exercises and feel good. It's like, yeah, I feel the energy. I want to do them. And if you can't sometimes convince yourself, I say myself at least, that if I can't convince myself to do all the 39, I will bring myself to do the first two exercises. And just those first two exercises or three exercises, and I'm here already doing the 20th exercise, and I'm feeling energetic and enthusiastic and wanting to do them more and more and feel their energy. And I found they work on subtler and subtler levels if I allow them to. It's of course initially, when I was trying to learn them, it felt like yeah, it's physical. It's just I'm moving the body and trying to learn the mechanics. But with time, I started feeling yeah, I can feel this energy also. I can bring this in my meditation. I am being aware of things. Initially, in my classes, they used to say, feel the vibration, or they would use this term called the vibration or the energy. And I was like, what are they talking about? What vibration? What energy? But then with these exercises, I became more and more aware of the things which we experience in meditation, in our life, and on many different levels too, not just even in daily life and working with people also. And I was just having an interesting conversation with a Guru Bhai. He's preparing to take Kriya initiation in a few days. And he was sharing his experience about the energization exercises. He said, and he is a yoga teacher, and he's been, for years teaching yoga and hatha yoga, all these things. And he said, somehow I learned the physical aspects of the, like I had learned similar exercises, the physical aspect of it, and I was doing them. But after coming to Ananda, learning the principles of these energization exercises, he said in Hindi, his comment was, Din or Raat ka farak hai. It's a difference of night and day. I was doing them earlier physically, yes, but after having tuned into the subtler aspects of it, after having tuned into the principles of it, like the greater the will, the greater the flow of energy, tense with will, relax and feel, he said, now I get them better. Now I understand them better. Now I feel more energy. And then he said, I used to meditate before, but now these exercises are helping me in my meditation also. Not only that, they are helping me in sharing yoga postures better with people, because now I'm not a physical hatha yoga teacher, just move this body, do this. My sharing has become more and more energy based, and I'm able to share on a more subtle level with people, which I felt very impressed when I heard his testimonial of that. And I've also heard this many times from people who say, "Oh, I practice these exercises only because I was required to practice for Kriya initiation." And then when I started practicing them, I felt that energy, and I felt that awareness, and I could feel that in my meditation too. I felt on physical level, my mental level, and also on a spiritual level, I felt benefited. And what did Paramahansa Yogananda ji say? That just about energy, not specifically the energization exercises. He said there's enough energy in 1 gram of flesh that it can, light the city of Chicago with energy for, I think he said 1 or 2 weeks, but it was a considerable amount of time. And when I read that first, I said, wow, we have so much potential. And yet, if I just have a little hard day, by the end of the day, I just feel, oh, I'm so drained, where I don't have energy. But we have energy. It's just a matter of tuning into them. And these exercises are a very, very helpful tool to do them. I thought one thing which has helped me very much to practice the energization exercises, especially when I feel like, no, I don't want to do them, is I put my computer in front of me or my whatever electronic device. I go to YouTube, I search a video of Swami Kriyananda practicing the energization exercises, and I practice it with him. And I would really suggest, let's maybe take it as a homework. I would say that practice the energization exercises every day regularly, at least once. If you can do it twice, even more better. And but do it at least once with regularity. And sometimes what happens is we get used to doing them at a particular time, and we try doing them subconsciously, and it's just physical movement. Maybe try to change things a bit. Maybe do it in the middle of the day. Maybe do it at a time when you wouldn't have thought of doing them, and do it with real awareness. over the next 1 week, we are going to have this. We are going to have one more session next Saturday with the energization exercises. So maybe the next time we come, we will have more of an experience of how it's just not theoretical after that anymore. And one more thought which comes to my mind is, if let's say you're enthusiastic in doing them more, and you want to do them twice, but the second time you just don't have time, it's your second sadhana for the day, you just want to sit for a meditation, do a subset of them. And I'm not saying this do for always, but instead of doing nothing, maybe do a subset of them for the second time, and even that is extremely helpful to feel that energy and then sit for meditation. So try that out. But coming back to practicing the energization exercises with Swami Kriyananda, I've done that so many times in my life. Just seeing him and really tuning into him, that he was with Master, he learned the energization exercises. I want to get it directly from him, and he does it on some level, very differently from what I see sometimes people doing them. He's so centered, he's so poised when doing them. Even when he's walking in place, he's absolutely centered. He's not just swinging his arms left and right. He's just so focused in doing them. And I can talk like as many minutes as I want to, but just do it on your own. Just seeing Swamiji, see how he's doing it, and have that experience. Maybe in this week, try it once or twice. And then when you're doing it on your own, try to have that same awareness of practicing the energization exercises. And you will feel a lot different. I try to do them, especially if I'm sharing those exercises during a class. I try to do it with Swamiji and then try to share it in the class. And it makes a big difference for me personally. So that's a little something you could try with. I didn't get a chance to go too much into the principles, but we do know them, and it would be helpful for you too to tune into the principles which we share in the first class. That the medulla oblongata is the mouth of God, that the energy is flowing through it. That it's not us doing some physical exercises. We are trying to tune into that divine energy, to raise the energy up in our spine, in our body. We talk about tense with will, relax and feel. Really relax. We're not here to just tense. For a long time, I was just like tense and then tense and only tense, and I wouldn't really consciously relax, but also relax and feel. And just one little experiment, and I would like to, wind up with a few, like an announcement, and then wrap up with the homework. Let's try a little something. We say tense with will and relax and feel. And when we say will, we say willingness. So how about we take a right arm, in the front, and let's just tense the right arm to our maximum capacity, whatever you feel, your very maximum capacity. Just tense it completely, your full arm. Okay, so now we are tensing with full willingness, with maximum capacity. Now, just increase a little more tension, just add a little more tension to that. And now, finally, just a little more tension. And now let's just gradually relax, slowly, 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 slowly. Okay, we have relaxed. Now, when I started, I said, let's tense to the maximum capacity. So we were at our max. And then I said, let's increase it a little more. At least I was able to increase it a little more. And it was max plus 1. And then I said a little more. And then it was max plus 2. So there is no limit to our energy. The more willing we are, the more receptive we are. Like Devashji was sharing with us of that analogy of the surfing board and the surfer and the waves, the more we'll be able to tune into that energy. So the greater the will, the willingness, the flow of energy. So really work with that and tune into these principles.